Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new pilot episode. This is going to launch a series. It's the 7 Reasons to Back It. Yes, I know the logo looks like 7-Eleven. No, I didn't do it on purpose, but I fell in love with it anyway, because guess what? As a high school kid, I used to do, and a college-age kid, I hung out at 7-Eleven. That's what you did in New York and Long Island City. Long Island in New York. So it is what it is. This is what we're bringing on. I'm going to first introduce everyone. I'm going to explain to you the premise of this show after we give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. And then I'm going to explain how today's different and how we're going to problem solve. First, we're going to start off around the room. My name is the Creative Comics Devil and Advocate. You can find me at MrAnderson.com. And I am here to represent Cat Dad and Supermom and Elefart Never Forgets. Chucky, hot pass.
Hey, what's up, guys? I am also a part of that campaign. I'm Chuck Pino, Pinau, somewhere up there. I'm a writer, editor, and I love doing my Chuck's Raw reviews, comic book reviews on YouTube. Pass next.
Monty.
Hi, I'm Monty Moore. I'm a almost 30-year comic book and gaming artist veteran, and I have my first project on Kickstarter right now called Loco Hero that's doing really well. We're 2 weeks into the campaign and still going strong, and I'm actually working on a cover here for Battle Fairies as we speak. So that's what's up.
And we're going to do the hot pass now to, I guess, Mike. Evan will be back in a second. We don't.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Michael Oden. I'm the creator and writer of Elysian Fields. We have an Indiegogo up right now. We're at 21. We have 21 days left in the campaign, and we're right there, right at about 50%, edging at coming close to 5,000 in contributions. And yeah, so we're doing well and hoping to hit that 10K flex goal before the end. And yeah, this is my first book, so.
All right, guys. Evan should hopefully be back. Evan was having some trouble before we began. I'm going to start sharing out this amazing program. But before we do that, let me tell you what the concept comes from. For a long time on our site, we did something called the 7 Reasons to Back It, or the 7 Reasons to Back This Kickstarter. We've shortened the name now. The basic concept was we handed this list to creators, and they gave it back to us, and we put it on our site. And people read it. It got okay reviews. It got okay views, I should say, not reviews, views. It was nothing that was spectacular runaway hit on our site, but it always had potential. I just came up with the idea literally yesterday. What if we made this a cross between The Weakest Link and the celebrity, what is it, the celebrity singer? Or the masked singer? Yeah, what if we did something like that? So basically in the future, what you guys are going to see, and this is a pilot so that we're not doing everything the way it's supposed to because we want to work things out. Same way me and Chuck worked out what is now Kickstarter Pause. We started on a program and didn't put too much pressure on it. We just had fun. That's why we have everyone. So in the future, you'll probably see me up here to moderate it. I'll be the host, or maybe Chuck will host this every so often. That'd be pretty cool to see Chuck hosting it. The person below will be the guest judge, and then everyone beneath them, not that they are beneath, but literally in progression on a screen, will be a contestant. And each contestant will have to answer these 7 questions. One of the things we're going to do today is we're going to play with these questions and maybe tweak them to be better for this show. Doesn't that sound cool, guys? Like, that's a pretty cool type, right?
I dig it. Yeah.
Now, depending on how many people are in the program. So today there's me, Chuck, Monty and Michael and Evan, if he shows up, that would have been 5 people. So the first 2 rounds would have been free rounds. Everyone would pass the first 2 rounds. They would get lucky. And if you had 7 people, that means the very first thing you do is a pitch. If you're the weakest pitch, you're eliminated. And then as it goes, everyone levels up and everyone gets to that point where finally the winner gets their entire video played and gets an interview at the end of the show, where we talk about their project, we talk about what made them. They get a 15-minute, the 15 minutes of fame, we'll call it. And I just literally came up with that. So that's what we're doing here. So the winner gets the 15 minutes of fame at the end. We see their video, they talk to us about it, and they pitch to you. Everyone else goes home. No one else gets to show off their video. Today, everyone's going to get their video shown off because they showed up today. So That's for you guys working with me, because this is going to be a little clumsy. This is going to be something new. I don't even know if we're going to do it on Saturdays anymore, or not anymore. But if this will be something that's a Saturday show, because honestly, we could put this on a Monday to start people up during the week, like get them excited about the rest of the week. We could move this to Tuesday and move our Indie Newswire to Thursday. So there's possibilities, because one of the things I'm afraid of right now, and you guys agree with me or disagree with me on this, cons are going to start again. I don't want to put any permanent shows on the weekend. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's probably a smart bet, because they're going to be cons that people want to go to, and they're not going to necessarily be paying attention if it's on a Saturday, Sunday. And on top of that, once everything opens back up, people are going to be spending their weekend time doing what they want to do rather than sitting down and watching on the laptop or the phone or what have you, especially after all this.
Yeah. What do you think, Chuck?
Yeah, I agree. I think doing it on the weekend is not an amazing idea.
Okay, yeah. But we're doing it today because I thought of it yesterday. And I'll be honest with you all, and I really want you to see me when I say this. I got a Kickstarter that's about to end, so I wanted to take advantage of this new program.
Hey, man, I'm right there with you. I don't got too much longer left on mine.
I was like, how can I make something happen? I was like, oh, I know I'm going to do the 7. I was like, wait a minute, what if we turn the 7 into a show? I was like, let's do it on Saturday. I was like, normally we don't, because we'd have a con, but I was like, I'm so close to 100. So close to 100. So I was like, Chuck, let's do this. Let's make a new show. And he's like, all right, I'm not doing anything on Saturday. Let's talk about Cat Dad and Supermom. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to be all talking about our different campaigns. So why don't we start there? Why don't we start with pitches? So I'll let Chuck go first. We'll go to Monty. We'll go to Mike. And then what I'll do if Evan doesn't show up, since Chuck's pitching our book, I'll pitch Evan's book for him.
So I'm pitching our book.
Yeah, you're pitching Cat Dad and Supermom.
Oh, crap. I thought I was like a judge. All right, I got to get ready to pitch our book.
Oh, do you want to play the thing at judge, and I'll go twice, and I'll go for us, and then I'll actually go again for Evan?
I'm fine with that.
All right. Yeah. So let's do it that way. Okay, cool. So, all right, no pressure. All right, so Cat Dad and Supermom is a story of a young boy's imagination come alive, where his parents are superheroes. And during that actual amazing event, he deals with real-world problems, which are bullying. And he finds his way past a farting elephant, finds morals in those farts, and actually learns a message that the whole family can enjoy talking about and sharing with each other. It's Cat Dad and Supermom, and Ella Fart never forgets. What do you think, Chuck?
I like that. That was pretty good. It didn't go long either. I was trying to think. I'm like, how long is this thing going to go? Because our buddy here, he likes to chat.
Elevator. You got it. It's an elevator pitch,
Monty, let's hear yours.
Okay. Loco Hero is a #1 first issue graphic novel, and it's about a Latina homeless war veteran who seeks to stop what she thinks is a ruthless tycoon who is going to build a supervillain headquarters instead of actually a shopping mall. And so due to a head injury, a lot of the action and the fantastic reality takes place in her head because of a dissociative disorder. And so she doesn't actually have any superpowers, but she dresses up as a superhero because she thinks that's what she's supposed to do. And she goes out and fights crime. And part of the project is also going to help support wounded veterans.
Okay.
There's the elevator pitch.
All right. So the elevator pitch for Elysian Fields is it is a tournament style battle story, kind of like a shonen anime. And the elevator pitch is fate shackled Achilles in life. In death, he was finally free until a mysterious calling took him from his peace, and he is forced to fight as a champion for Hades in a tournament that crowns the ruler of the underworld every 1,000 years. So there we go.
Tight, Mike.
All right. Johnny Phantasm, 1977. It's a Indiegogo for 3 issues. They're 24 pages each. It's a tale of the New Detroit. 1977 is back. It's New Detroit, 1977. It's a cool dude. He's got cool powers. I know it's horrible. This isn't my book. I've never done this one before, but it looks really cool. I've read the comic too. It's actually so much better than I'm doing right now. It's just not my property. It's not something I actually know that much about because I've only read the first issue and I don't know what happened in the other two. Can we just play the video? All right, I give up.
Okay, so obviously we know which one's the weakest, but you tried. I don't know. As a judge, am I allowed to give? Should I give out some critiques or thoughts?
Yeah, why not? Why not learn from it?
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, what I would say from my point of view, from what I saw, I've heard the Cat Dad and Supermom before. I would say it's going on the longer side, but it's good. If you can tighten that up even just a little bit more, I think it'll be perfect. Monty, I liked yours. And I love the fact that part of the proceeds do go to charity. I don't think that needs to be in your pitch, though. I think just telling us the story of the character and just making that your main pitch is good because you at least pull people in. And then when they're able to listen, mentioning that stuff, that will keep them there.
Okay, great.
So I don't think that needs to be in an elevator pitch, but it does have to come up at some point.
Yeah.
Honestly, it could be in the tackle box, but not on the hook.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Way to go. Michael, that shit was tight. Like, that was honestly my favorite one. That was a really good pitch. It was short, concise. It's obvious you've worked really hard on that one. Great job.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And Evan, we love you. You're a good dude. And we will check out your piece.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. I thought I had it, and I was like, "Wait."
Your mind was kind of like blank when you were. I could like see it too.
Dude,
like, the moment you started, it just went.
I had something ready to go. It's all disappeared so quickly. All right, so we are going off 7 different questions. As the host, I would actually be reading these questions. So the second question that we'd have in the next round after the pitch, and obviously I would be eliminated. And I'm sorry, Evan, I got you eliminated. I'll do better in the second round, I hope. So the second round right now, this is a good one, and I'm going to fail with Evans, so I'm going to skip Evans because this is a very personal question. It says, why did you feel you needed Kickstarter's help to launch your project, and will your goal, if reached, cover all creative costs? And I think that's an important one because I think people want to know why they're backing and where their money's going. That's why we have that spot of risks and all that. So Chuck is, I'll speak to this, and of course Chuck is our judge today. So Chuck knows this answer, but everyone else doesn't. Why do we need the help for Kickstarter? It's a multi-tiered thing. First off, none of us are rich. Getting that money enables us to do things, and it enables us to actually give out free books at our table because our costs are cheaper. So when we run into that kid who really fell in love with the book and the family doesn't have enough money, boom, we can give away a book. We can give a couple books to hospitals. We can then also, by lowering the cost, we can sell more books because more of that's profit and it goes back into our actual franchise, which gets us another issue going. So for us, does it get all the creative costs? No, this will not cover all the creative costs on the book. This Kickstarter has done really well. I'm not complaining, mind you, no complaints whatsoever. Whatever we don't use on printing and shipping goes right into issue number 2. So that's how we always roll. But no, for us, it won't cover all the costs, but I have nothing to complain about. And I thank everyone who has backed us. As of this moment, I believe we have 97 backers. And that's it. I'm going to pass it off. Next contestant, Monty.
So I started my project in 2014, and I have over 5 figures of my own money invested in the project, paying the artist. So using the Kickstarter platform, I have already recouped my costs that I fronted to pay the artist that I brought in. I wrote it myself. Obviously, that's not money towards me, but it does cover the printing. And I feel that with some of the outreach that Kickstarter is able to do, our number 1 pledge so far is the Honor Bound book, which is the charity book. So I was very glad to see that being our number 1 backed book.
And Mike, what do you got for us? Sorry.
You're all good. So for us, everything. If we hit the 10K, we definitely have everything covered. In fact, at this point, we're already in profit margins. The only thing that will be a little bit of a dark horse is, of course, shipping with everything going on right now. But even still, we'll be fine. I really lucked out with this project. I found a freelance artist whose page rates are very reasonable, and I invested my own money in it, and we were well past recouping that. Everything else I've really lucked out and met some people that have helped me do a lot of money saving, because I was initially expecting to spend a lot more, which is why I had set my flex goal for so high. And now it's just kind of one of those things where I'm kind of kicking myself, because I feel like if I had set it a bit lower, I'm not on Kickstarter, I'm on Indiegogo. And there's that really big in-demand feature. And if I had set it a bit lower, I could keep this. I feel like I would have definitely reached my flex goal, and we would be able to just keep the store open and continue to make money off of it.
All right, Chuck, you're up.
This one is tough because how do you kick someone out for their honest answer? On this, so I almost feel like this question is not one that people should get kicked out for.
Well, what about the person who can't properly represent what they're doing on Kickstarter? What if they just go, I don't know, to get all covers? Well, that's a pretty bad reason to just do a Kickstarter.
It's true, but if you listen to the three guys we have and the three pitches that we got, there's none of them that I would say, fuck off. Like, if I was going to knock anyone off right now, I guess I might go Michael, and that might just be there was a lot of ums and ahs. Like, that's all I got. You know what I mean? I mean, like that. Like, that's the only negative that I really have. All of you guys made perfectly good cases, and that's a tough one, I think, to judge and to kick someone off over.
Yeah, but you could always do a Hell's Kitchen rule. Yeah, anyone who's watched Hell's Kitchen, every so often when they do really well, he doesn't eliminate anyone. But the next week, he eliminates two people.
Great. Well, then I'm not eliminating anyone this round because everyone did really good.
Yeah, and that's fair. And we might have to revisit that, because maybe that's not a question to ask. Maybe at the end of this, we'll go over it and we'll go back over the questions and we'll take a poll, and then maybe when the show goes live, we'll have a question, because you're right, that is a harder one to kind of judge a person for. Because even with the all cover thing, who am I to say that you shouldn't go to Kickstarter to get an all cover? Maybe you got Monty to do it. Monty doesn't come cheap. He's like $5 million to get a cover from. I would have to Kickstart it and then some. I'd have to go to Indiegogo next too, just to cover the cost.
You'd have to go to Indiegogo and be Comicsgate in order to get that kind of money.
I have to get a frog to jump for me? Damn. All right, guys. Next question. This one's a pretty easy one. And again, this might be something that we do have to change. We'll have to see how it goes. How did the creative team behind the Kickstarter come together? I don't know. That's a good one. I think we should change that, because I don't think that's a good question to ask people to eliminate, right? Yeah,
because I feel that's that's very subjective, because some of these guys that are doing it, they're professionals. They've worked in the industry for a while, and they've met each other, and it's like, oh, I met him at a convention. We started talking shop. And so those kinds of people are going to have a lot more advantage over someone like, say, me, where I'm going to be like, well, this is my first book. I found someone on a freelance site. And that's he really liked what I wrote. His art was really cool. We went forward.
Well, I mean, can you imagine, say, Rob, when he did the book with me, the first book I ever edited for him, he'd be like, Chuck was willing to work for exposure. Like who's gonna let him survive? And that was, he deserves to, but not with that claim.
Yeah, I paid him after he did such.
He took care of me. I did every book afterwards, so I was taken care of. But so I'm not bitching, and I wanted the exposure, so it was a fair deal to me. But I'm just saying, those stories are out there, and getting knocked for those stories sucks. So yeah, I don't love that question either.
But since we're here and we're on the program, let's talk about it. How did you get the team together? For me, it's actually a funny story. Dave Brown and me were doing a project. It was going to be Con Kids. Chuck was actually going to be part of it in a different way. We're all going to talk about our children in short page anthology. A lot of people got excited. Few people knew this, but New York Comic Con might have been our backdrop, like officially stamped. Yes, we would be willing to be part of it. Then a hurricane happened, an earthquake happened. I'm not kidding. These are real things that happened. And Dave Brown wound up, his wife got pregnant, and he was taking care of that. And everything just kind of came together in a perfect storm of just knocking me out off course. And even my own divorce came up during that time. So all that became so heavy that I couldn't deal with it during that period, and it fell apart. And I own it. It's my fault. No one else's but my own. But I loved what I had with Cat Dad and Supermom. And Dave didn't want to return to do anything else with it because he had moved on to his own kid's book. And I respect it, support him. The Brown family, check it out. Awesome stuff. But Chuck had edited it. And Raheel, an artist, wanted to work with me because he was inspired by me. He's like, let's do something. And I'm like, sure. I was like, what do you want to work on? And I gave him my catalog of books. And he came back to me. He's like, what's this Jax the Anderson? And I told him what it was, and I told him I always wanted to go back and play with the character of Cat Dad and Supermom. He's like, let's do it. So we made a 2-page, and a lot of everyone actually will see it in the PDF packs. And even if you did it for $1, you'll see it. It was a 2-page flip story, and it was this cute little thing, and we fell in love with working with each other. I told Chuck I found an artist. I want to develop Cat Dad and Supermom into their own comic. Chuck said, yeah, and he was like, cool. He's like, I'm in. I didn't even have to ask him to edit. He's like, I'm in. He's like, I'm there. I got you. I'll be the editor. Because he knew what I was asking. You know, he knew why I was talking to him. So he said, yep, you don't even have to ask. I'm part of it. And then the crazy thing is we made the book, and there was a lot of love that went into it, a lot of time, a lot of patience. Chuck and Raheel both got promoted to co-creators. So it is 3 of us co-creating. And then this awesome thing happened when we did this Kickstarter. I turned around and I said, okay, I have to do it. I have to break down. I have to do all covers. All covers give excitement. I'm going to have to do them. And I'm talking to a friend, and my friend's like, I'll do it. I was like, serious? He's like, yeah, I love your story. I was like, cool. Next thing I know, Josh, and that was my friend Mike Seeley. He's a local creator, and we're working on something else. Then all of a sudden, Josh Lyman, he just draws something randomly for us, and he's like, here. And we were like, wow, that's beautiful. And I was like, could we use it? Could we use that and maybe make it a cover? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, let me just fix it up a bit. And I was like, oh my God, we have 2 all covers. I'm set. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, our boy Luke Stone, he does this amazing piece of art, and I'm like blown away. And I'm pitching already, Chuck, a new story idea to go with Cat Dad and Supermom now. I'm like, no, you got to understand, this is going to be good. He's like, calm down, Rob. Get through the Kickstarter before we even start. Settle down, Beavis. So, like, I'm excited. I'm blown away. This beautiful cover. So now our family's gotten bigger, including the colorist of Eric Hodgson. So we have this amazing family of artists, and it honestly feels like a family now. Now, how would you eliminate me after saying that, Chuck? You'd have to have no heart. All right, Monty, how'd your team come together?
They were through referrals of people I knew in the industry, and I struggled for a long time about just being the writer creator and what art I was going to do. And when I finally decided to go look for, penciler and colorist, I just reached out to people that I knew. And one of the things that kind of makes me psyched is my colorist was unpublished, and he was literally fresh out of art school here in Colorado, referred from another friend of mine. And, he did a sample for me. I said, what would you charge? I said, that's a really fair rate. Let's do this. He's like, are you kidding me? Worked for Mile High Comics, still, actually now he's full-time colorist and had never been published. And my penciler, I lost my first penciler. I paid him to do 5 pages, and he ran into some personal issues and had to step away from the project. So I went back to my contact that's one of kind of the agents in the industry, and he hooked me up with Donnie, who's in Indonesia. Again, not a widely published guy. I said, hey, I'll pay you to do a sample. His first sample is now one of the covers to the book. I said, this is beautiful. Let's go. And he actually doesn't speak hardly at all English. So he has a guy he works through, and I do breakdowns and I send them to him. So that's that. Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah,
No,
you're
we
good.
can.
Mike,
You're great.
we can hear
You're
you.
great. Michael.
Mike, it's your turn.
Okay. So my team coming together was a bit of a stroke of luck. This has been a concept that I've been kind of messing around with since high school and honestly even before that. And after trying to get into the mainline industry for a bit and constantly hitting walls on that end, I decided that I would actually invest time and work on this concept. And about 3 or 4 months ago, I finished the script for my 0 issue and I started looking for artists. And I found my artist, Marcelo Oliveira Costa. I'm blanking on the site that I found him on, but I looked through his online profile. It was awesome. He had done a whole bunch of like God of War style art and what have you. And I was like, this is the perfect thing for my book. And so I reached out to him and he had a very reasonable page rate. And I sent him the script. And it's also really cool because he's from Brazil. And so he had to he translated my entire script from English to Portuguese.
Whoa.
Yeah. Talk about dedication. And he came back to me and was like, this is awesome. I love mythology. This is so freaking cool. I want to be a part of this. And yeah, after that, I saw his first concept art of Achilles and I was just like, yeah, you're the guy. You're who we're going with. And that's how we came together. And, eventually I found Luke Stone when I was starting to get into the indie field, and he introduced himself to me and he was talking to me about it, and he was like, well, I could be your letterer. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because like at this point, I'm just kind of trying to figure out like I can, whether I could do it on my own or what have you. And I'm still trying to figure things out. It's my first book. And so I just kind of lucked out with a whole bunch of people who just come together and really helped this book come to life. And honestly, we were initially looking for an October release, and now we're releasing in July. So,
yeah. See, that's a tough one to kick someone out for.
Yeah. So I do have the 2 questions that fix it, actually.
Okay.
So we'll remove both of those questions. Here we go. So we'll have to do 2 extra questions for this, but there's only 3 of us, so it's not a big deal. It'll actually eat up the hour. But imagine if there's 7 people here, you wouldn't want to have to do more than questions.
At that point, I just kick someone out to move on.
Yeah. So but here we go. And thank you for all the comments, by the way. This is one of those shows I don't think we would do much comments, though. No. I don't think we would talk to the audience except maybe at the end. Maybe we do an audience question, but for right now, I'm not ignoring you. We're just not. It's one of those shows where it's focusing on the people on the show, not necessarily the audience, because you don't see the Masked Singer reading tweets, Yeah. So here are the questions, and I think I did well for you guys. So here it is. Tell us about your main character. Sell your book via the main character. And you have to pick one character to talk about. Sometimes, like with Cat Dad and Supermom, that's not easy. Who's the main character of that story? Right, Chuck?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick Jax. I'm gonna pick my son. So for those who don't know, the main character is actually based on my special needs child. He's autistic and hyper, and I mean hyper in an ADHD way, where it is going to be something we're going to have to struggle with. I am very dedicated to helping him get past that, and I've noticed that he had a great imagination. When we were at a Comic-Con, and this kid's a Comic-Con pro, when we were at a con, I noticed he was playing with stuff, and autistic kids aren't supposed to be able to do that. But he was making this huge imagination thing, and it inspired me. And then I realized, wow, this kid has an imagination. It's my job to break into that imagination. And I wanted to write a story about that because he was having trouble with his words. I saw it already. I knew it was coming. But I wanted to make this story where he could escape to his dream world, and everything kind of came alive. And that's actually where the Jax story comes from, was this idea that I always wanted to do, and I was able to write it quickly, and that became Jax the Anderson. When further developing it, we continued that, the power of imagination. The one thing I've done, and this is going to sound stupid, and I know people have said that it's not true. I felt like at the time when I wrote it when he was 3 and he was starting to struggle, I felt like I screwed up. and I jinxed myself. And because I wrote his own words, somehow that made him more autistic. I know it sounds stupid. I know it's not realistic, but I felt like I jinxed my own son, and it was part of the reason he was having trouble with his words. And that's just how you react as a parent. You blame yourself. And I never realized the power of the story till he started to sit down and learn to read it with me. And I am happy to report he's finding his words. Chuck's seen it when he's on the videos. He talks a lot more now, and he's starting to come alive. So we will have those conversations. But that's why when I say it's such a heartfelt story, it's about a young boy's journey with his imagination as well. The rest of it is the creative part, but the core of it is that boy and his heart and his imagination. And that's why it's always so powerful to me. Monty?
My project, Loco Hero, the title actually describes the character. She's heroic, and she's also what we would say crazy. She has a dissociative disorder, so she gets confused. She goes into fight or flight mode, and her reality totally shifts, and she's upside down. She thinks regular bad guys look like ninjas or samurai or mutants, and she thinks she's a superhero. And I can't remember in all the comics I've read a superhero who these things take place in her mind, not the real world. And so I think it's unique and one of a kind to have a Latina who is homeless, who's also a veteran. She's physically capable of whooping some ass. She's a multi-level black belt. She went into the martial arts, so she's very capable, but she's also a broken person. And so she has big check marks over here, and she has big strikes against her over here. And in the middle, you end up with a very unique character that I think has a singular voice.
Michael?
Okay, so this is going to be my last question because I do actually have to go to work. But this is a question that I am going to love answering. Achilles is the protagonist of Elysian Fields, and the big reason why I chose him was because when I was a little kid, my dad read me the Iliad as my bedtime story. I had this really cool watercolored Iliad and the Odyssey, and it's gorgeous. And Achilles was my favorite character. And so over the years, I developed a love of mythology, and Achilles was always this thing of fascination. And I wanted to do something that did it right, and that's why I did this. And so the thing that I'm really excited about in particular with Achilles is showcasing this character that has been portrayed so many times in mass media and has just missed the mark. Like, Achilles was 16 when he went to Troy. So this version of Achilles is in his early 20s. He's very young. He's very brash. There are going to be traits about him that are not heroic from our modern scope and of narrative, because what the Greeks held in value during antiquity aren't exactly what we hold in value today. There are going to be things about him that people don't realize. One of the big things that appears in the Zero issue and is a big drive for his character is that him and Patroclus were lovers. And his desire to win this tournament is based around a promise that Hades will give him his greatest desire. And so he is hoping to use that to get a second chance at life with Patroclus. This is a version of Achilles that has known nothing but war for the past 10 years of his life. And he wants it all back. He wants it all back so he can go back and live this life of peace that he had turned away initially. But throughout the tournament, fighting all these people from across the world really starts to bring out that ugly demon inside of him, that hound for glory. And it's going to be this common theme throughout the series where Achilles is battling his better side of his love for Patroclus and wanting to experience that life he never had versus the glory that led him down to his doom in the first place. And it's that internal struggle between all of that.
Wow, that was really good. This is tough. This is a really good question. This is tough. I would say I have critiques for everyone. I felt like Michael and Rob, you guys both went a little long. Maybe try to be a little more concise. But the one thing that you guys both struck to the best was the personal aspect of why this character was so important to you. And so I really like that. Monty, I might knock you out, but I liked what you had to say an awful lot. I think it was really good. I think they focused on the personal aspect of it, which was probably spoke to me the most. The one thing I would say for when you're talking about your character, the one thing is, don't tell us that your character is unique. Let us tell you that they're unique. Your character is unique, but you don't have to say that. Just like you're a smart dude, you're a talented dude, but you don't have to tell me that. I'm going to tell you that when I check out your stuff.
Great. It's great feedback.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, that's what I see. Michael, you have to go?
Yeah, I've got work, unfortunately.
Dude.
I got to pay bills somehow.
All right, Mike, we're going to play his video.
Yeah. Stay safe. Thank you. And please send me your Kickstarter. I want to check it out.
Absolutely. I'll hit you up on social media here after I leave.
Thank you, homie. I appreciate it.
To the Elysian Fields crowdfunding campaign. Thanks for giving us a check out. Elysian Fields started off as just a game between friends. Nerdy kids debating which mythic heroes would win pitted against each other. Over the years, as things grew, this became a concept I fixated on, knowing the potential that it could have as a story. Now it's a living, breathing thing. And for it to succeed, I need you. So come check out our Indiegogo campaign and see what you can do to bring Elysian Fields Issue 0 to print and beyond. Thank you.
All right, Mike, we'll see you later.
Catch you in a bit, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. Elysian Fields Issue 0, 21 days left. See you in a bit.
All right, my man. So I'm going to back out of this. So, yeah, man, this could definitely be a show that winds up, I think, really pushing the boundaries of what we do in comic books a little bit, because like it's deep, right? Like I feel it when I'm talking. I'm like, oh shit! Like I'm on the chopping blocks. So,
yeah. I think it as an artist too, and being able to get feedback as a creator, it makes you dig a little deeper, and it gives a chance for the feedback. Because sometimes in just a conversational setting in a room and we're all just chatting, right? You're not going to be like, hey, man, I've got a critique for you. I don't think this, or I do think this. And when you come into a forum like this where you say, hey, this is great. Like I crossed off, saying unique or original on my list. Like, hey, that's great. That's a great point. I'm going to take that to heart if I'm on other shows and things like that and be like, you know what? I don't need to say that. Right? Like you just let the project speak for it and then dig a little deeper on what you're serving up to people. What's is the personal reason? I didn't mention a military connection with my family or my grandfather. I could have done that, and that probably would have brought in the personal connection. Be like, well, Monty's got a reason for, doing something that has a character like this.
And I've heard him say that it's a touching story. And I think that'll be it. Like creators will realize, wait a minute, this is me. Like I'm on the hot seat. This is how I sell what I'm doing. I get pure. I get honest. Because we're really not taught to do that very often in life. Forget it. In life, we're taught to hold all these cards close to our chest. But when we're crowdfunding, you got to open up. You gotta show what's going on. You got to be honest.
Well, so, you touched on it earlier today when you were talking about, even comments or addressing certain things. We live in a very ultra PC world. And you're like, well, I don't want to tear somebody down. I don't want to end up in a flame war. Like, what do you mean you don't like my project? What do you mean I got kicked out? And so sometimes we feel like we have to walk on eggshells.
Yeah. Not Chuck, though. I like Chuck. And I'll do the same. If I hosted this show, because there are going to be times I'm not going to be on Kickstarter, and I'll probably be the first host / guest judge. So people have that standard, because if they see that I did it and I survived, but look at Chuck, very sweetly doing it. He gives us critique, and he's like, look, I'm not trying to kill you, but the bread's not what it's supposed to be. If you did this, the bread would look better. Like what we talk about in Kickstarter pause. Don't give me the sizzle, give me the steak. Give that compassionate stuff.
Well, and that's what I feel like this takes the best part of Kickstarter pause, and what it could do is if someone came on for the 4 weeks of their of their show or of their Kickstarter, and they came in and they got knocked out early, by the end, they should be at the top of their game. They should have all of those answers set up. They should have the best versions of those answers, and they should be able to, by the end of their campaign, have that video shown or at least make it to the final 2 or 3. So, yeah, I feel like if they listen to this stuff and they really go with it, it should really tighten it up so that when you get to that last week, you really get to slam it home and give the best presentation possible.
Right.
All right. So we're going to continue now. I did also fix another question. So tell us about main character replaces. How did you, why do you feel you need Kickstarter? I think that's a bad question. I agree with you guys. The other bad one was, how did the creative team come together? That's not really meant for a show like this. So here, tell me what you guys think of this one. Tell us about your favorite thing about your story or franchise. I think that's a good thing because it opens up your world. It talks about your world. Like for me, I would instantly go into my favorite thing about my world and the franchise I've built is that it explores imagination and inspires children to understand that their imagination has the power to solve problems, inspire others, and you can actually come up with, solutions to real world problems that you can then apply in real life. And that's the cool thing about our story, is that we show a conflicted character that's able to solve their problems using imagination, something we don't tell our children to embrace enough.
Yep.
What about you, Monty?
The thing I like about my character is that
Or it could be your franchise, the whole thing. Like if you like the city and you don't get to talk about the city, you could talk about that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the fact that she's the opposite of Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne, that have everything going for them. They got the money and the beauty and the society and all that. And my character's the absolute antithesis. Like, you're just down to the hard-boiled character, no possessions, lives on the street, eats garbage, doesn't own anything. So a hero in the purest form doesn't rely on big guns and bulletproof armor and gadgets. You're like, no, none of that. This is a hero going and doing battle. I got nothing. And so I like the fact that that character is stripped down. And much like the heroes in our military who are stepping up to serve others, she's stepping up to serve others. She has nothing to gain for it. This isn't for financial gain or fame or clicks or likes or all this stuff that's in the modern world. She doesn't own a cell phone. Okay, these characters, they all have the modern trappings. So I get to boil it down to just the character and her obstacles of what she's overcoming in a very fantastic way, because much like your character of imagination, she doesn't have control over it. Her tricks her all the time, and she has to overcome that.
I love that.
Yeah, and at this point, don't ask me who I'm going to kick off, because that's not fair. You only have 2 of you.
Well, actually, let me ask you a question, Chuck, not to interrupt you, and finish what you're saying, and I'll come back.
No. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Is this a question we should bounce to the later rounds then, to really be like a harder question to, like, when you're pairing up with me, and like, should this be a hard question, or should it be in the very beginning where it's easier to eliminate the weakest link?
Every question, if you do it right, every question is going to be hard.
True.
You know what I mean? So no, I like this as a round 3 or 4 question.
Monty, same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It gives you a chance to kind of drive things home, but you get a little bit wider scope with this answer, as opposed to, maybe this is why I think I should be on Kickstarter. You get a little more leeway to say, here's a little meat of my story or my character.
Yeah, because we got your pitch, so now we know what the story's about. We got your main character, we know what that's about. Now we get your favorite thing about it. Yep. So we got imagination, and we got the true essence of a hero. I guess what I would say is, actually, you really pared yours down nicely, Rob. Good job. Monty, I think you got the ideas, just, again, kind of condense them a little bit more.
Yep.
But that idea is exactly how you want to sell it. Like I said, just condense it a little bit. But what you've got there is exactly what someone wants to hear. They're both great, really.
Okay.
So I wrote this in my notes. What do you guys think about having a 60-second timer for everybody?
Yeah, or less.
Contest. Well, you got 60 seconds to answer. Every person gets 60 seconds in every round. And I thought about that because Chuck kept saying keep it shorter. But what if the contestant knew they were under the gun? Because every time I go, I hear in the back of my head, this is what made me think of it. Chuck's like, the first time he said I was too long, I was like, okay, 60 seconds. And I literally looked at the clock up here and I counted down on the live clock what 60 seconds was. Because that's the type of person I am.
I think one of the things that's good about that is if we, as the people who are pitching, could see that, if there's a way to put that up on the screen.
You don't have the live thing in the corner? It would be on your
No,
left.
it's just live 4537.
I guess I didn't actually look. But the good news is say you go 45 seconds and then you have 15. You can mention a couple other things and be like, oh, you know what? And this, and reiterate or drive it home.
Take that 60. Take like the people on the podium during the election periods, the primaries. Take your 60 seconds. Make it count.
Yeah, I think that would be good. It creates a box or a window, and you want to take all of it, but you don't want to be like, oh, and by the way, let me tell you their backstory.
And that'd make it easier for like a guest, like you were saying, on a harder round, the person who goes over, listen, everyone did a good job except for you. This was a harder round because you went over. You're the one who gets eliminated. And all of a sudden, they eliminated themselves because they didn't follow that one rule. Not that it means you'll instantly be kicked out for going over, but if there's a tight round, that tight round might be that one little slip up. Because we want peril.
And you don't want that person to go, oh, you know what? Mine's too complex, and so I need to take 3-4 minutes. Like, no, you don't have 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
Boil it down.
And you know what? Really, let's be honest. We're all professionals here. There's no such thing as too complex. You know what I mean? You're too lazy to dilute it to a point where people can be interested in it. You shouldn't have to explain the whole fucking book in order to get people excited about it. You know what I mean?
Well, a true elevator pitch, if you're on the elevator with J.J. Abrams or Stan Lee or somebody similar and you're like, I really do have 30 seconds or maybe 20. If you could hook them with something and they go, here's my card. Call my people or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you've done a good job, but you better have it ready to hook.
And you would know better than most, Monty. You don't get 3 minutes usually.
No.
Yeah.
No, you'd have 30 seconds or less if it was a real elevator.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've actually been to some screenwriting seminars where you get to do pitches with people and they come and they sit down and you have like a 5-minute session or a 1-minute session and they're screenplay pitch sessions to producers and you pay to go to these and they literally time you and you go, oh, that's interesting. They'll either give you a card or they won't and they'll move on. It's like speed dating.
Yeah. So that actually adds a speed dating element. I like that because this is now going to be like the celebrity judges, speed dating, and weakest link.
It reminds me of it also has an aspect to Chopped, where you have half an hour to make that dish, and if you don't have all of the things in there, then you don't get to move. You either don't get moved on, or at least you will be penalized. So someone else, let's say you went long or we had to cut you off, that will penalize you, but somebody else may have done such a poor job that it's like, you're lucky you stuck around, but you better watch that clock, Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I love doing this live because people are getting to see how a show like this gets made. And no one ever does that. Everyone just shows up to a show and they just assume it was made. I like that we did that with Kickstarter Plus. So that's why I came up with this and I invited everyone. Let's see who shows up. Evan, I'm sorry about your pitch. I still feel awful about that. I got caught in the headlights of it. I should have just read his stuff. I still feel bad, Evan. I hope we're still friends. I understand if we're not. That was a horrible elevator pitch.
We'll show your video twice, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, it was so horrible. I'm sorry. All right. So the next question is, this one I think is a really good one. What do you believe? Why do you believe? Not what do you believe, but why do you believe? It should have been. Oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry. What do you believe separates your Kickstarter from the thousands of other Kickstarters out there? And I think that's a great question. Mine, I would say it has to do with the fact that it's geared for an all ages audience, that everyone within that all ages audiences can enjoy. That's something you don't see a lot on Kickstarter. It has a great story that can entertain your entire family. It gives you the opportunity to spend some time with your kids and actually talk about morals. And talk about morals in a way that's unique and a comfortable way, because we've drawn everything out for you. We've put in elements of talking about being a rat. What does that mean? We've talked about bullying in a unique way of witnessing it, so children and adults know how to handle when they actually see it. And on top of that, you don't see a lot of children's comic books that just aren't made to be just for children, but instead are meant to be a powerful source of literature. Under a minute.
Well played. See, he was obviously watching the clock.
Yeah. Just like that on the clock. Where are we going? All right, Monty, what do you got?
I think my project is very well balanced. I think it has a strong 1/3 in a solid story. I'm very proud of the art team that I brought together. I think there's one third of the project is the art looks great. I would put it up against, most mainstream comics and publishers with the caliber of art. And I think then the other part of it is the social awareness and the cause. I've got a character who's Latina. She's homeless. She's a veteran. And so there's some social awareness and some issues in there, but I don't beat people over the head with it. It's actually just a natural part of the actual story. So nothing is sacrificed for one of the others. I don't put one in front of it. It's not the agenda over the art, over the story. I think that they're working in harmony, and that's the thing that makes me the most proud about the entirety of the project.
Okay, that was like pretty much right at the minute.
I watched.
You did good. You
I saw him.
A second over. You did good.
He got
you know what though? For yours, Monty, you got to bring up the fact that some of that money goes to charity. That's such a massive draw, and that's something that doesn't happen enough on Kickstarter. So if someone says what's special, dude, the charity aspect is huge. So I would definitely throw that as one of your foci in there.
Okay.
But other than that, it was pretty good.
Okay. Because I thought earlier you had said don't bring that part up.
Don't bring it up at that point.
Okay.
When we were talking about that, it didn't need to be brought up at that point because I think we were mostly just talking about the character.
Okay.
Or it was the pitch. That was your 30-second pitch. So it didn't need to be a part of your pitch. But now that you have more time, that is a unique part of your pitch. Now you can bring that in now. Now is the time.
Great. Yep. Great.
I will say a couple things to this that are coming up right away. First off, Monty saw 40 seconds and he dragged it back in. And he knew, okay, I'm running out of time. Let me reshape this. Let me get it out. So there are going to be literally people who, if this show hits, like I think it will, like Kickstarter Pause did, people are going to watch this show and have strategies. They're going to realize I need to have talking points at different parts of the show because we will publish. And I think that one of the things would have helped, and I apologize to Monty and Michael for not doing this. I think maybe we should give the questions ahead of time. Let them practice. Let them be their best. Have the staple questions that anyone can download. So there's no excuses, no random swerve question. And then it is all on you. And the only time there'll be a swerve question is if there's a tiebreaker. If at the end no one can be picked as a winner. That judge.
I got an idea for you.
Sure.
Don't give all of them, right? So it allows people to prepare, right? But you don't want them reading a whole thing hey, here's my pitch. But if you were to say 5, here's 5, and 2 are dealer's choice mystery questions that you can't prepare for, it shows the people who are comfortable with their character, their pitch, and know about it. And then you kind of see how they are with the impromptu. It's like when you're in speech class and you have to do, hey, look, you got 30 seconds on Elvis Presley, go, right? You can't prepare for that. So give them a little of both.
I like that, actually. I think the first 3 are really solid. Those should be mentioned every time. And then after that, there's a couple questions we may or may not ask. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I really like that. So I think, like he said, the first, I even think 4 are important, you know?
I got a question for you guys. Do you know why Michael, was that his name? Do you know why he chose Indiegogo over Kickstarter?
No, that was Evan.
No, it was Michael too. He's on,
Oh, is he on it as well?
yeah.
Indiegogo.
He
Yep.
said it was the flexible goal.
I don't know much about Indiegogo. I bought some stuff from there, so I don't know what the difference between a flex goal is and a main goal.
So a flex goal is where you make a goal and you say, I would like to hit this, but if you don't, you get the money regardless.
Right. Yeah. No, I knew that whatever you raised, you cap for the most part, right?
Well, you have a choice. You can make a
Okay.
hard goal or a flex goal. I don't like the idea of having the flexible goal. And the reason for that is that I need the money that I need. I would rather fail and then come back harder the second time and make it happen than only get half the money and go, shit, I don't have the money to do what you guys want. I asked for this money, this amount, for a reason. So
Right.
I get where people come from, but it's not a selling point to me personally.
Yeah, I backed a guy who was making a monster movie and he wanted to do the whole thing, and he didn't raise, the 100 or 200 grand he needed, so he only had enough money to do like a short film and some doodads to send to backers.
Okay, I don't like Indiegogo for that reason too, because it also trickles the money in, and you know how it is. You trickle anything in, things get misplaced. So instead of getting that $3,000, or in your case, the house payment of $45,000 in some states, and then you have to go to, like, your first steps going to an accountant. How do I handle this check? Instead of having that, imagine if you were getting it every day as a few $1,000s, a couple hundred during the day, and then you trying to keep track of that in your bank account. That could be problematic. Plus, Kickstarter has the better, as we said at the beginning, behind the closed doors. We were going over the dashboard. That's
right, the metrics, yeah.
Indiegogo. It doesn't make. Go ahead.
Also, the social media aspect of it. Because the neat thing about Kickstarter that the other ones don't do is that you can follow people on Kickstarter, which means that if they follow you, whenever you back something, all of your followers see that you backed it. Whenever you create something, all of your followers see that you created something. And so that stuff really matters, because now you're not just looking out for cool projects. You're also looking out for cool projects that you really appreciate. And you go, oh, cool, I like this guy. If he liked that, I might like it too. And that gives the rest of us an extra boost, because now someone is literally saying, I liked it enough to buy it.
I just want to take a quick second and acknowledge that's a cool name, Indie Creators Unite. A lot of love to that. A lot of love to that. But yeah, I love that idea of separating questions, and I guess I'll make up some random questions. Like at the end, there'll be like 5 questions that I think suck, that aren't, well, not suck, but aren't as powerful to make my 5 list. And then the host could read through those or make up their own, depending. Because Chuck, I'm sure, can make his own up.
Well, and you could have like 10 or 15 questions and just decide the first 4 are static, and then the last 3 we're gonna take from the list and see which ones we want to play with.
Yeah, that's true, because as the host, I'll control most of them except for those 2. So we could even change orders too, but that's getting ahead. But I love the idea, and we're definitely going to try that. So here's the next one. I think this would wrap up our 5, because we'd have, elevator pitch to start. Tell us about your main character, your favorite thing about the story. Why do you believe your Kickstarter separates you? And then I think this one, stop me if I'm wrong, what's the inspiration behind the story?
It's a good one. It's not necessary, but I like it.
Do you think that we've already touched on it at this point, though, with some of the other things we did? Go ahead.
No, because I didn't actually tell the story about coming up with the idea. So if I told the story about in front of the convention center, I go, oh my God, you were at Comic-Con and it was cosplayers and a homeless woman, I go, that's where my story came from.
We'll start it. Tell the story.
Yeah, tell us. It is a good story.
Okay. 2014, I was at the San Diego Comic-Con, which I go to every year as a professional artist. And I was in front of the convention center, and walking one way, passing me, was a group of cosplayers all dressed as superheroes. And at the same time was a homeless woman pushing all her belongings in her cart. She was clearly struggling with mental illness. She was having a very large argument with herself and losing. And I literally was sandwiched between these people, and the idea struck me like a bolt of lightning. What if I had a character who was homeless, lived on the street, but actually thought she was a superhero and dressed like a superhero and went out and fought crime, but didn't actually have any of the wherewithal of Tony Stark and Batman? And that was the impetus and how Loco Hero was born.
I like that.
All right. So for me, it all began, believe it or not, in necessity. Even though I was inspired by my son's imagination, I always wanted to create a book about him. It wasn't vanity like a lot of people think. Believe it or not, it was because someone had reached out to me and wanted me to be at a local show. And they said, hey, do you have anything besides that fetish book you make? So I realized right away I was having doors closed by only having one genre. And I didn't care. I always wanted to just be a writer. So I wanted to have different books from different genres. And I knew having a kid's book at the time would open up doors. Jax the Anderson was born. That then became where other inspirations in my life, things that happened, inspired the franchise to move on into this amazing project, which we have now, Cat Dad and Supermom. But it all started, believe it or not, out of that necessity. And so many great things start out of necessity. And it was because I didn't want to be known as just the guy who wrote that fetish book. I wanted to be known as a writer who can write anything and can write powerful stories no matter the topic.
Yeah, see, I like both of those. I think the problem is, and not with you guys, those are solid stories. I've heard them both. They're both great. But there's a lot of stories out there that don't have great inspirations behind them. And that would really, honestly, at that point, they would always lose because they don't have that. So that's why I think this is one of those questions that kind of could come in and out. But I like those.
But
because if somebody says, hey, I just sat down and I had a checklist and I said, lightning bolt, superpowers, can fly, this is how I created my character, you'd be like, everybody's done that.
But I also think with crowdfunding, don't you have to appeal? And isn't that kind of what we're teaching? Like, if you know that you have to explain it, and even if I had that checklist, I would say, you know, growing up, it was very important to me that I became a comic book creator. So I sat there with that list, and I made sure to make it as good as I could because I thought about Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. I had to live up to that standard. So I took that list serious, and I made things that were super powerful because I wanted to create something just like my heroes created. And I hope that you come on the journey with me so you can be part of this because I created this because I love comics. Please take a trip with me in this amazing new creative world where, yeah, some of it might be taken from yesteryear, but it's my ideas today.
And that's a really good one. It is solid.
And I made it up. Like, I don't even have
good. I just think it's another reason why it could be one of the ones that filter in and out. I don't think it's necessary, but it is a good one.
All right. So at this point, the other ones I would have had for the round, and now, Chuck, since you're the host, not the host, the guest judge, I guess I would talk to you behind the scenes about the questions, and I would be giving this to you off camera. And I'd say, okay, so those are the 5 that we're going to ask. Here are some suggestions I have. You can do your own. If you saw this project pretending it wasn't yours, would you want to back it and why? If another one you could do is Kickstarter, the start of something. Is this Kickstarter the start of something bigger, or is this just a one-shot and done? And then another one, are the stretch goals important to this project, and if so, why? But you, as the host, not the host, the guest judge, you can pick up anything you want.
Okay, so out of those ones, the one that interested me the most was stretch goals, especially since both of you guys are in stretch goals. So, Monty, let's start with you. Stretch goals, why are your stretch goals important, and what do you have for us?
That's a good question to keep in there, Sue, because when you listed your separate questions, that would have been the one I probably would have asked based on the ones that you kind of said. But I think it's going to make people dig a little bit deeper because for the most part, stretch goals is like the financial part. Like if I've already covered my nut and I'm saying, okay, well, stretch goals, if I hit certain stretch goals, yes, people get more cool stuff. Everybody wants that. You're going to drive them to share it through social media. But I guess for me, I would say the more stretch goals and the more people are pledging, the more people my story reaches. and the more I connect, and it allows you to go on to that second and third issue to complete an overall arc. My project is not a one and done. It's an introduction, barely an introduction to the character and the world she lives in. So I hope that by achieving those stretch goals, I'm able to move on to my next phase of the project, which would be my second Kickstarter.
All right. So for me, believe it or not, I don't like stretch goals. I'm one of those people who don't enjoy seeing creators do it. And then I realized you as the fans, you wanted something more. You wanted me to take this serious. So what I did is I took it serious, and I reached out and I said, okay, I need to make these amazing alternate covers, and I want to see the world through other artists' eyes. Don't make what you've seen. Make something new. And when you make something new, we'll put it out there. And who knows, maybe it'll inspire me. And guess what? It did happen. Something inspired me. I'm going to keep bothering Chuck about it because I have this great idea for the future of the characters to go in a different direction, and I'm going to keep getting it. And one day you're going to see it, and we're going to have a name, something like the Divorced Duo. It won't be Cat Dad and Supermom, but it'll be from the same universe in an alter realm. So that's why stretch goals are important, because sometimes when we have to dig deep and find a way to inspire you, we get inspired in the process.
And you know what, guys? This teaches you a really good lesson, okay? Because Rob has fought fucking tooth and nail to not have stretch goals, not have variant covers. Those are two things he was very much against. And not only are they both in this campaign, but this campaign is one of his best, especially out of his own personal stuff. So it does show his personal growth as a creator and as someone who wants to use the platform to its best in its best format. So, you know, even Rob is still learning from all of this. So yeah.
I think those are great. Not stupid. You know, That's the old saying, I'm stubborn, not stupid. After a while, even I start to hear what everyone else is saying. You're
the guy who's going to say, I'm not just going to jump on board. You got to fucking prove it. Mm-hmm. And so I think you started to see the proof, and you're like, okay, so it's not just a cash grab, and I don't have to treat it like a cash grab. And that's been the great thing, is that you haven't done that. You've just said, okay, cool. If I can get some more out of this, what can I do with that money, and what can we do for the fans? And that's really what the stretch goals should be about.
And also it made our creative family behind Cat Dad bigger. Yeah. And I didn't realize that. Like, I started to look at it from the fans' point of view, because I always say this, it's comicbookadvocates.com is based on it. It's you guys telling me how we can move forward and what we should be doing to move forward. So I'm listening. So when you guys tell me you want something, I hit the brakes and I go, wait, my fans just said something. So now I have to listen because they're talking to me, and I need to be listening to them. So you guys, you direct me so much more than you realize. And I'm always listening to you over creators. And I had someone at the beginning of this campaign tell me, because I don't know if Monty even heard this, we'd failed twice before with Cat Dad and Supermom. I had done it. I had done it other people's ways. I'd even created this. I always, like, someone had said I had to create this under a different name. So I created under Robert Gregory. And at first, I wanted to do the Bray Wyatt thing, and I thought it'd be really cool. You know how? Are you a wrestling fan, Monty?
Nope.
Okay, so Bray Wyatt, and I don't think Chuck. Do you know Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
Okay, so he shows up in the ring like a Mr. Rogers character right now. He wears a sweater. He's like very calm, and he talks very slightly, and he even has the fun house where he has these puppets that he does this cool stuff with. And it's actually a rather funny thing. You guys should Google it just because it's hysterical the way he kind of handles it. And then he has this other side of him. It's called The Fiend. And one of the things The Fiend says is like, and I love this catchphrase. I'm going to steal it next week and start using it for certain things. All he does is go, "Let me in." And I was like, oh my God, that is so creepy and cool. Because all it is this guy just let me in. And it's like, wow. And he wears this mask, and it's like him, but it's deformed, and it looks almost like the Joker's mask when he had his face ripped off and put back on. And he walks around with the title with his mask on. So I was like, what if I do that? What if I turn my devil character that does the fetish books into that? He becomes the devil. And then the other person's the Robert Gregory. Realistically, the Robert Gregory is probably me turn the volume down. It's when you're catching me with my heart open. It's what a lot more people know me to be when they become fans and friends and family. They get to see that side of me more than any other side. And in the industry, you don't get to see that side as much because we have our guards up. We're at work. We're doing business. We're very professional. It's kind of more what the devil is. Like there wouldn't be the demon's head or anything like that, but it was that symbolism. And I wanted to do that. And I wanted to act like, the two of them didn't really know about each other. I'll be like, no, I'm always been the devil. What are you talking about? And have fun with it. Then I had the advice. No, you have to act like you're not connected at all. You have to pretend you're two different people. And I'm like, what? How does that make sense? Aren't people going to think I'm full of shit? And guess what happened, Monty? People thought I was full of shit. It caused confusion. People found it gimmicky. So that was the first Kickstarter. And we canceled it because there was a problem with the Advocator at the time. And we didn't know if we were going to be able to get the money because the Advocator went longer than it was supposed to go. And they crossed the streams. And it was going to my bank account, both of them. So it was a mess. So then the second Kickstarter comes, and I the stupidest thing, Monty. I am eating Cheerios. You ever eat Cheerios and you get the dry part of the Cheerios and it makes you cough? Yeah. So I did that, and I'm doing the Cheerios, and I go to cough, and all of a sudden I sneeze. I've never had this happen to me before. And because I had a mouthful of food, I went like this so I didn't sneeze all over my computer. Because I didn't want to spit out the food, because I was doing both. So I must have put my hand too close to my mouth, and all I felt was all the air expand in my throat. And I was on a live stream 2 minutes later, and you can hear in that live stream where my voice sounds like this, and by the end of it, I cannot talk. And I'm struggling. And I went to what is now, unfortunately, sadly, shut down, Sweet Tomato, and I went like this to my throat, and I felt something pop back into place, and suddenly all the pain went away, but I no longer had a voice. And I didn't have a voice, and Chuck remembers this. I couldn't do any of my shows for 2 weeks. Yeah. I canceled my radio programs. We were doing Kickstarter, what was Kickstarter talk back then. I was having Chuck come on because I couldn't talk. And I didn't know. Like, I had a doctor tell me more than likely I probably needed emergency surgery, and this is something that might come back and haunt me later. Because stupid me, I had a show that weekend, so I can't be sick. I have to just go to the show. I have my obligations, and
you couldn't talk?
Couldn't talk. I was holding up signs.
It was cool. I watched the pictures and stuff, and he had signs already pre-made to explain shit to people.
And I sold books still. Yeah. Wow. But yeah, so that was the second Kickstarter. So Chuck was like, we're never kickstarting this book again. Don't even bring it up. That's how we left the last Kickstarter. He's like, no, I don't want to go through that again. And I'm like, you sure, Chuck? And he was like, this is last year. He's like, yeah, no, I've had enough.
You thought about it for a while.
Yeah, and he was like, no. And then this all went down, and I looked at Chuck, and I said, I know you're against it. I want to do something new. I want to do something different, something I've never done before on Kickstarter, and I really want you to support me. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to be honest. He was like, what? I remember you were like, what do you mean you're going to be honest? And I'm like, I'm going to pour my heart out, and I'm going to show a side of me that no one ever gets to see. And I'm going to show it. And Chuck's seen that side. He knows that side, but he knows that the public hasn't seen that side. They've seen the Advocate, they've seen the devil, but they've never seen the heart that I really have.
They haven't seen the dad.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going full in, man, full in. And he's like, and it's suddenly. What'd you say, Monty? You kicked out for a second.
It paid off.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I first told him that, I thought he was going to push back. I thought he was going to be like, no, Rob, bad time, coronavirus, C-19, you just let it go. He turned around. He must have heard it in my voice, and I don't even know what you did. You can explain it. All I know is he said, I'm down. Let's do this.
So what it really was, him being, because he's not, you get Rob Anderson or you get, the indie advocate or the devil, but you don't get the guy that I am good friends with, the guy that, gives me a call and says, hey, man, I know things are going on. Do you want to talk? Or that I'll call him up and say, man, I know things are rough with you. Do you want to talk? And like that friend. And he kind of wanted to let people into that. And that's almost like fucking Joe Eyes. You know what I mean? Like, that was like the puppy dog eyes. And it's like, dude, if you're willing to go to that level to really sell this and show it off, and if it means that much to you, then I can't say no to that. Let's do it and see what we can make happen. So,
and like you said, it paid off, and it's being genuine is so important. And it's still, I have those moments where the smart ass comes out, and I'm still sarcastic, But like Monty said, it's that dad. I can go right to that gear just thinking about my boy. Like he's not home for the first time since this pandemic started. We went into that. He's actually out with his mom. And you'd think that I'd be thrilled and I'd want to run around the house and go out and maybe try to find a date or something. Not that that goes on anymore. But, you know, you figure that I'd feel this pent-up frustration. Do you want to know the honest truth? I miss the little guy. I keep looking over for him. He's not there. There's no one to watch. Like, it's foreign. It's like someone took my arm, and I'm sitting here like this with you guys, unable to, like, extend my arm because he's not here with me.
Right.
All right, Chuck, so you got the last question then.
Yeah, I gotta wrap things up here pretty quick, guys, if we can.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
We already asked lots of stuff. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we have a very good idea of what we want to do for the show. I have to go make dinner soon anyway, so I think we're good. Monty,
Okay, great.
Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for telling us about it. In a perfect world, you would always make it to number one. Why don't we show his video so he can head off and we'll close it up?
Well, do you want to go, Monty, or we'll just show the video for you?
That'd be great. Great.
Yeah. And Chuck, if you want to go too,
guys.
I can finish the hosting stuff. Thank you, Monty.
No, I can hang out. Go ahead.
Cool.
Have a good one, Monty.
All right, let's start with Evan because I still feel horrible about it.
Let's start with Evan.
Let's start. Evan, I owe you. I'm so sorry. That was a horrible pitch. I don't know what happened to you. I'm hoping you're okay because I hope you're not too mad at me. I am so sorry. I got caught in the headlights, Chuck. I got caught in the headlights.
Evan, we're gonna get you out here. You're gonna do the questions yourself. Now that you know the format and how it goes, you're gonna kick ass, and we're gonna try to get you as close to that finale as possible. But here is the video that you deserve, and that should be shown.
Yeah, man. Oh, and I hope you can be on a future program with us so we can have you do a much better job. And it's always hard to pitch a book that's not yours the first couple times. And that was, again, the first time I'd ever tried to pitch his book.
Even for me as an editor, trying to pitch like somebody else's book, it's not as easy. You know, like I did not do a good job of pitching Barbara Unleashed until I hung out with you and I saw your pitch. And I was like, great, I can still do that and do my own version of it. And same even with The Advocator. And so even though The Advocator is very much, you know, I have my own stuff in there, but seeing other people's pitches and being able to get that and sort of own it, it helps. So having, you know, doing a book that you have nothing to do with, that's even more difficult. So
yeah. So accept my humble apologies, my friend. I promise we're going to do you right. We're going to play your video right now. Here you go, my friend. Johnny Phantasm, 1977. Uninterrupted. So what do you think?
Sorry. Yeah. My thing is that I was instantly going into Kickstarter pause. So I was like, I want to say something, like I want to, and then I was like, no. Let him have his moment. Let him enjoy it. It's a good trailer. I want a little bit of that personal aspect to it. I'd like to hear a little bit about why it's important to them in that video, but that's just me.
Especially on Indiegogo, I would think that you'd want, not necessarily saying anything bad about the video, just in general on Indiegogo, there's so little platform there that I think everything's got to hit right. Oh, I like that. The music's a little hard to listen to sometimes, so it's got a squeakiness to it, but the art's fantastic, and the pacing as well. But like you, I'd love a narrative voice. I would just like someone to jump in there and go, welcome to the project, brought to you by something. Just give me that home feeling.
Yeah.
And here's Monty's video that we're going to play, and then we'll end the show with our campaign, and I'll let you do, do you want to do a pitch on the way out, or do you want me to do it?
Well, yeah, but we need to do one for Michael as well.
Mike already did it on his way out. Remember, we played Mike's video when he left.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Did you not see it? Were you not paying attention?
I think I blanked out. It's all the drugs.
We can play again. I mean, it's a 45-second 45-second video. I was going to call it commercial. A 45-second video. So
okay, yeah, let's do it again for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why this isn't playing. This did this to me one time too. I wonder if too many people are playing it right now. All right, so what we'll do is we're going to go over here. I'll let that load in the background. This is actually Mike's thing. And you can find this.
We did see, okay, we did see that. That's right.
Hey there, welcome to the Elysian Fields crowdfunding campaign. Thanks for giving us a check out. Elysian Fields started off as just a game between friends. Nerdy kids debating which mythic heroes would win did against each other. Over the years, as things grew, this became a concept I fixated on, knowing the potential that it could have as a story. Now it's a living, breathing thing. And for it to succeed, I need you. So come check out our Indiegogo campaign and see what you can do to bring Elysian Fields Issue 0 to print and beyond. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, I promised you we played it. All right, I'm going to drop the links so you guys can find all these shows. And by the way, some great new graphics have begun to show up for you guys. And you can find the rest of what we're talking about with the videos and all that on Kickstarter Pause. Check that out, Chuck, right? Pretty good, right?
Yeah, I like that. I do like that.
See, we upgraded everything. When we redid this whole rebranding, I took it serious, and everything's gotten. And if you notice, I want to say this, Chuck. Do you know why there's a cord behind it?
A cord?
That big black thing. You know what that is in my mind?
Is that unplugging them?
No, it's the wire for the OnCon network. So they're all now connected.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I can get deep, kids. All right. Speaking of deep, let's get deep into that loco hero. And this is our boy Monty, who had to run, but we get to check it out.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monty Moore. Welcome to the Maverick Art Studio, where today we are bringing you Loco Hero. It's a passion project of mine, and it's the first time I've ever done a creator-owned, self-published comics project. So the idea came to me in 2014 when I was at the San Diego Comic-Con, and I was moving along in front of the convention center. And on the one side of me, a group of cosplayers dressed as superheroes. And on the other side, I was passed by a woman clearly living on the street and struggling with mental health issues. And this genesis of this idea came to me. What if I was to combine those two realities, both a little bit skewed, if you will, and bring together the idea of a woman, a character who thought she was a superhero? The story of Brina Hernandez is one of a woman born of an immigrant father, but also raised very patriotically. She had a love for our country, and so she does go into the Army. And when her squad is destroyed, she comes out of the Army. She's a bit of a broken woman, and she's dealing with PTSD and survivor's guilt. And like a lot of our veterans, unfortunately, she ends up living on the streets. And when she takes a head trauma, it causes a stress-induced dissociative disorder that compels her to be a hero. and her reality is skewed, and so she might not always see the world the same way that we do, and it creates a wonderful opportunity for both the art and the storytelling for this unique character. I'm very proud of the art team that I've assembled for this project. Donnie and Sean doing the interiors of coloring and pencils and inks. And I then went out and got a great group of my friends, people that I respect, to do variant covers that are just amazing. And so we're bringing you some of the art from Mike Crome, Jesse Wichman, Ryan Kincaid, Marat Michaels, and a host of others. So there's going to be some wonderful levels of variant covers. There are options for collectors to get sketch covers as well. One of the variant covers that I'll be offering will go to support Operation Second Chance. And that is a philanthropic organization that does work directly with our veterans and gets them back on their feet, really helps them if they're struggling both mentally and physically when they're leaving Walter Reed Hospital. So there's a great bit of support and almost meat to the project, if you will, in both substance. It has great art, but I think it also combines a wonderful story, and there's also some elements of a great cause. You can check out the rewards. We have standard edition books. We have the variant covers. You can get commissions from me, both drawn and painted, all the way up to some larger original art commissions. So I invite you to check it out. Please support it if you can. Share it if you can't. And I really appreciate all of the comics and Kickstarter community for helping this project along so far, as it's been 6 years in the making. So thank you again, and remember, expect more.
All right, Monty, bringing it home. Look at that, $37,000. I want to grow up and be like Mike, because Mike's his middle name. So yeah, I get to play with that a little bit. Okay, guys. Before we go, because we will end with that, I want to thank everyone who showed up today to be part of this. It was kind of cool. I love developing these shows in front of people. You guys can see the creative process. And again, this is going to become an educational tool. With the judge being able to have that commentary, this will be something that supports the industry, I think. And in a time where we need more positivity, and it makes it interesting. Let's be honest, getting the audience to watch is very important. We have had a solid base of people watching this show today. We have gone from 5 to 12 people and back to 5. Like, people are showing up and they're staying for a while. So I think we got something. What do you think, Chuck?
I do. I like the format. I like the idea. And I feel like it keeps everyone honest. Because I can come on here and I could be a total dick to everybody. But guess what? At some point, I'm going to have a Kickstarter that I want to talk about. And they'll remember it. And if I was a dick judge, they'll treat me the same way. So I think having like some honest expectations and ethics as a judge, and really not trying to pick your favorites, but actually trying to pick the people who did it, who just performed the best, I think that will really bring out the best in everybody, including the judge, because eventually the judge will probably sit in that other seat.
Unless they're a permanent fan. I mean, we will try to get some fans on here. We'll open up the door.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to know, and this has been proven with the Kickstarter pause, I will hold you to what you say. We had Josh Lyman famously has made an apology for something he said. So I don't run away from it, and I won't with this program, and I won't let anyone use this as a vehicle for abuse. You know, it's not what this is. It's also why we toned down the rhetoric with the Mystery Science Theater on our other program. And while it was fun, I could see where it wouldn't be taken funny. And I'll be honest, the few people who talk about bashing, that's called pressure, because now someone's paying attention. And it's a free ride, and you actually we're raising the bar this year. So there are going to be people who won't be able to get to that high, and we're okay not covering you, because trust me, there are 10 other people who want that spot.
Well, and those are the same people who are going to say, I got a bad review, take it down. No, you got a bad review, don't show it off. Like, don't, you know, point your fans at it and say, hey, you know, but own it.
But is it a bad review or an honest review?
You know, I think that there can be both. I think there can be. I have seen reviews which are just straight up bashing.
No, but I mean, sometimes you got to step back and ask that question. Was this a bad review or an honest review?
It's true, but sometimes, especially when we're as close to this stuff as we are, it's hard to tell the difference. And so that's why, when you're in an environment like this, you feel at least a little bit safer because the panel is educated. You know that they're here, they're doing this all the time. They want to do good by all the projects. So it does make it a little easier. Apologies.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think this adds value. I do hate people who ask for I love even the reviews where people who didn't read my book because they're still talking about me. You know what I mean? I'll take it, but I will say this, and Chuck knows the property instantly. I have a property that is not well received very often. There are comments made about it where people aren't too thrilled with. We'll put with the construction of it and leave it that way. A lot of talking points, but I've never been negative about the feedback. I've listened. I've said, okay, I hear you, and I'm now going back and repackaging that product. I was supposed to be doing it now, but life got crazy, so that's been pushed to 2021 more than likely. I understand the year. I've had to become a teacher, so I had to prioritize. I've also put my novel on hold, but I'm close to it. Now I just need money for an editor. I might release a beta version and just see how Grammarly does with an editing job, and then try to raise some money to actually get an editor, because a book is more expensive than I realized for an editor.
Yeah. You're talking on average. You're talking like 5 cents a word almost.
Yeah.
And you're just talking about and people go, they pay by the word. Yeah, it's by the word, dude. And it's not cheap. But there's people out there who know you, respect you. They might say something like, "Hey, I would do it. This is going to be how much it's going to cost down the road." Understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. I think a beta book opens that door when you say, "Hey, this is the beta version." You charge like 99 cents. You don't print it. You send it out there, and you go, "Hey, look, I'm still looking for an editor. This does it." Maybe that'll create the story. I don't know. But we're done. I mean, he's got to cook dinner. I got some cooking to still do. I got some Saturday, dad stuff to do. So I got to do it when the Jax man's not around. We're on Kickstarter. We're so close to funding. Final plea for you guys. Even $1 gets you a reward. Please help us get to 100. I don't know why 100's a magic number. I just understand it is on Kickstarter. I know that when you hit 100,
100 is just a nice round number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're in triple digits. That it means something. It's if you hit 100, it just kind of feels like you made it. Like you got there, you got to where you needed to. So yeah, man, 100's a nice number, and there's no reason why we can't get there.
And that's going to be with you guys. So one last final check, and we're going to come back only for a second, and we're going to be out. Here it is. This is our work summed up in a simple 2-minute video. An all-ages tale that teaches morals with farts and shows the power of imagination that will entertain everyone in your family, including the parents reading the book. Thank you for hitting play and allowing us to introduce you to Cat Dad and Supermom, the award-winning Farts with Morals storytelling awesome adventure that people seem to love. And we could keep going that way. We could use words that could try to get you to be excited and convinced to buy it, but I'd rather just be honest with you. I'd rather be humble with you and tell you why I created the story. You see that little boy over my shoulder, right over there, and the other side, the Supermom, and the big elephant that farts? All of that is based on my boy. He's a special needs 5-year-old who I love with all my heart. And he has made me a better man and has taught me what unconditional love is. So if this story is about him, the standard had to be higher. That's why I got one of the best artists in the world in Raheel Mohsin. I got Chuck Pino, who has done such great work as an editor and as a writer himself, to be part of this. Both of them became co-creators because of how much passion went into this. It was about passion for creating a top-notch story that was meant to entertain your entire family, and I think we did that. The rest, they're all keywords. They're all ways to convince you to do it. Truthfully, this is a story that matters to me, and it had to be one of the best stories that I wanted to share with you. It advocates for people who get bullied, and it advocates for the right things to do when you see someone get bullied. It advocates for being a better human being, but it also represents my son. And because of that standard, because of the fact that my son is in this book, it had to be one of the best things I could create probably in my entire career. Anytime my son is attached to something, it is that high of a standard for me. So if you're looking for a reason to back this Kickstarter, it's because, well, because I love my son, and I wouldn't put anything out with his name on it that wasn't amazing. Thank you for watching, sharing, and backing Cat Dad and Supermom, and Ella Fart never forgets. And that sound in the background is the Jax man himself. I miss him terribly. This has been the first ever 7 reasons to back it, but believe it or not, next time you guys see this, the stakes will be higher, as they will actually be fighting to have their video played at the end of the show. Be kind and share. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're going to be doing a round table about what is community, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Peace, love, and comics.